I want to welcome you to our virtual Kids Night In. So my name is Laura and we are going to be working on masking today. And in your kit that you've picked up from the studio, you should find a piece of pottery, an egg with a bottom. You should find your glaze. I have red, blue, and yellow. You should also find a sponge, a paintbrush, and some tape. So the things that you might need at home are something to cover your workspace in, some paper towels, a water container, and I'm going to use a styrofoam plate as a palette. Okay, to begin, the very first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take our egg and we're going to use the masking tape. And you can apply the masking tape right to your egg. Just like that. You want to make sure it's really stuck on there. You can overlap the masking tape. And what's going to happen is when I go to apply this glaze, the places that have been taped off are not going to be covered in that glaze. So I want you to be creative. How do you want to apply your tape? Maybe it's going across, kind of like this, crossing over some sections. Maybe you put it on in a spiral shape. It's really up to you. There's no right or wrong way to put your tape on your egg. I think see down here at the bottom where it's not quite connected, I'm going to go ahead and connect all of those so I can fill in these shapes here. Let's see, we're going to have that one connected right here. We'll connect this shape right here to this shape. Just like that. This one we can connect right here, just like this. So this piece of pottery, because it hasn't been glazed, it's considered bisque. So it's in the stage where it is not been glazed yet. Let's see, I might want to make this one, just fill in this one right here, just like this. So once you have your egg right there, perfect. Once you have your egg taped off, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to open your glaze. Now you can use the red as it comes, the blue, and the yellow, right out of the containers if you like. I'm going to use my paintbrush, and I think I'm going to paint this portion in right here blue. Make sure I'm putting an even coat of glaze on my egg, on my piece of pottery, on this bisque. Clean my brush off. Maybe this section right here will be red. You don't want to put it on too thick. You can always layer it up. And if you make a mistake, there are no mistakes. If you accidentally get it in a place that you don't want it to be, you can take your sponge, wet your sponge a little bit, and give it a little erase. So you can clean it up just like that. So I'm going to finish filling my red in. Maybe I might have a section that's yellow. Right here, let's see, this one will make yellow. But instead of just doing the primary colors, red, blue, and yellow, what you can do with your glaze is you can take your paper plate or styrofoam plate, and I'm gonna put out just a little bit of, it's gonna take the red from this lid right here. If I mix red and blue together, what color do you think I'm gonna get? When I mix red and blue together, I get violet. So mix it really, really well together. Mix, mix, mix. And then I can use that to fill in another area. You want to make sure it doesn't go on too thick. You can even paint over two sections together and see what happens. So we'll paint over those two sections. Let's see what happens when we mix some blue with a little bit of yellow. Because yellow tends to not be such a very strong color, I'm going to bring that blue into the yellow. What color do you think I'm going to get? Can you see it? It's green. So I'm going to fill in an area with my green. I'm going to fill my whole egg up with these beautiful colors. What haven't we mixed together yet? We haven't mixed together red. So we'll get a little bit of red. Clean my brush off, and I'm going to scoop out a little bit of yellow. And I like to bring my red to my yellow for the same reason. When red or yellow doesn't seem as a strong color, I'm going to pull that red into that yellow. And that's going to give me an orange. Let's see, we'll put some orange right here. Maybe you have some orange right here. So go ahead and fill in your first layer of your egg. So once I've gotten my egg completely filled in, I'm going to set it off to the side so that it can dry. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my sponge, and I'm going to get my sponge just a little bit wet here so that it's damp. Dip it in my water, squeeze it out. I'm going to dip it in the yellow because we're going to sponge the bottom of our little egg base. And it's just going to give it a really fun texture. It's going to give it a little bit of a different look. Once I get it completely sponged, then I'm going to come back with my orange that I've created here with my red and yellow. And I'm going to just paint those feet in, little orange feet. Perfect. So let's check out our egg and see if it's completely dry. There's still some spots that are wet here. As it dries, it should look very chalky. Once it's completely dry, it's going to look really chalky. And you will be able to see where you may need to add a little bit more glaze to it because it will look very thin. Do you see how you can see the egg through there? But there's so many things that you could do right now. You could, if you wanted to, it's up to you, you're the artist. You could layer another color over top of the color that you've already created. So maybe I'll layer some yellow, just a very light coat of yellow, maybe over top of this red here, and we'll see what happens. You could layer, let's do another one here. Maybe you need a bit of blue down here with this green, so we can come in and layer very lightly, very softly, because if I use too much force, it's going to take that glaze off of there. So I'm just going to very lightly add some color over top of it as a layer. Tap, tap, tap. You could even take your sponge and sponge another color over top of it. Or you could sponge the whole thing in a color. Maybe that's what I'll do. I'll sponge the whole thing in another color. We'll see what happens. Yeah, that's looking good. Awesome. So I'm going to let that completely dry before moving on to the next step. Okay, so now that I've let my egg dry, I can ever so carefully peel off the masking tape. Very, very carefully. And there you have it. This technique is called masking. And once you've peeled the tape off, it is ready to go back to ArtSmart and hop in the kiln. Thank you so much for joining me for our Kids Night In. If you want to draw with me daily, come see us on Facebook or visit our website, artsmartacademy.com.